I made a quick little post yesterday, well, I made a quick little video yesterday because I was working, and this happens every day. The little 30-second video I was going to post was telling you guys that if you ever want to see just how fucked regular people are now, become a driver full time and do it every day. And you will see that you'll always have at least one person who doesn't know how to open the trunk, one person that doesn't know how to put the fucking seatbelt on. It's crazy, right? And if you're a full-time driver, it'll happen more than once a day. Sometimes I have to get out the fucking car just to open the trunk for people. And it's not just because I have some type of tricky car. I've used, let's see, the Malibu, the Bolt, the Tesla Model 3, the Ford Escape, the Kia Soul, and the Hyundai Kona. I've used 6 different vehicles for this job, okay? So, it's not that I'm driving some type of fancy, hard to open, like, trunk of a car, okay? Some models are the Chevrolet Bolt, the button is like all the way down at the bottom, but out of the 6 I listed, that's the only one that can give the problems, right? So, I have a pickup. It's a college student. I drive to the university dorms, right? It's only a 5-minute ride, but the view is like 3 minutes late. So I already see where this is going, man. If it walks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, it's a duck, okay? You know, you people get angry at me because I say that, you know, stereotypes are accurate. Listen, man. If you people ever decide to go outside, if it walks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. There's special exceptions, but the exception doesn't negate the rule. So the dude is 3 minutes late for a 5-minute ride. I'm like, alright, I already see where this is going. So I just wait for him. He has a musician's band. So I'm just like, oh, you're one of those, right? So I just wait for him. He walks in the back of the trunk. He does like this. He starts knocking on the trunk, and then he walks to my driver's side door. I have to roll. Keep in mind, this is a college student, right? These guys are supposed to be like the most intelligent kids, right? If they're in college. But if everybody's going to college, it's basically like nobody's going to college, because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but people just don't like learning. A lot of the people who watch my channel now, a lot of y'all are too young to remember this, because this shit started changing when I was in school. When I was in elementary school, or actually, no, it was like the 7th grade, the 6th or 7th grade, they said that they were changing the passing standard to 60. Because before to pass, you needed to have at least a 70. But that was too hard, right? You know, a 70 is basically showing up, passing a few tests and sleeping, and you get by, right? But that was too hard. People couldn't even fucking do that. So they lowered it to 60, right? A 60 is you just show up. You can show up, fail everything, fail all of your fucking paperwork, your tests, your quizzes, etc. As long as you show up, you pass. But people couldn't even fucking do that. So now, my stepsister married a teacher, and outside of him confirming what I already suspected, a bunch of other teachers and educators, professors, etc. confirmed what I suspected. And some students that go to Johns Hopkins University, that's supposed to be a good university, they confirmed what I suspected as well, that the teachers and professors get in trouble if they fail too many things. You can only fail like 1 or 2 people. And we're seeing the results of that, man. So why am I saying this? People don't want to fuck with me. So you motherfuckers that come on my channel and say that college people know stuff and that certified professionals know stuff, this is how I know y'all are not outside living in the real world. Because if you were outside living in the real world, you would understand that people don't like to learn stuff. So, when you do go to school, they make everything easy for you. You're never challenged. Your brain is never pushed to where it has to learn problem solving. At one point in time, school encouraged you to problem solve, but I'm 31. That shit stopped by the time I got to middle school. I watched the school system change. Now, I'm not saying this. So, I had to tell the little college guy, push the button. Now, he got it. I have a lot of passengers of all age groups. It's not just college kids, but this is the future, right? These are the people that are going to get the education, right? They should know how to open the trunk. But a lot of these guys can't even figure out how to plug the seatbelt, right? Some of these fuckers, I actually have to get out the fucking car and then push the button myself because they don't know how to push a button. Then after I do that, they say, hey man, like when I drop them off, if you pop the trunk, if I could, I would, but not all cars have trunk pops. Some cars you gotta get out and push the button yourself manually. Now, why am I saying all of this? You guys saw the thumbnail. So it was a 30-second clip of me telling the story, but I deleted the video. I'm like, nah. Then my homie Dan showed that, and I said what I said, and I'm like, you know what? When was the last time I made an actual serious video? A couple weeks ago, a month ago or so, I don't fucking know. It was time to make another serious video, because I've just been posting clips, right? Because for the most part, man, I like to throw some fish out there and then let people reel it in and figure out stuff for themselves, which is ironic because after I'm done making this video, I'm going to cook with some salmon, jasmine rice, and teriyaki sauce. I forgot to order carrots, but that's okay. I'll get the carrots tomorrow. In the United States, I don't know about other countries, but in the United States, we cannot legally diagnose a child with certain mental impairments. They gotta, I think, it's either over 16 or 18 before you can legally diagnose a child with certain shit. It's usually antisocial personality disorders like narcissism, psychopathy, sociopathy. So, what usually happens is, all the psychologists will say autism. Because it seems like all of these viruses affect the same parts of the brain. Now, why am I saying this? I didn't even know what autism was until I finished high school because, and this is going to sound racist, but I'm just telling y'all how African American kids think because I know a lot of my audience is not African Americans, right? We never learned about our autism in our schools because we called it the white person disease. We just thought it was something only white people got. Just being honest with you. So, I didn't really know what the fuck autism was until I dated a chick whose sister has autism. And my first exposure to it was because her sister has really bad autism, but not really. Because as I got to know her sister, I kind of caught on that she only acts that way to piss her sister off. That's not autism. That's a different type of personality disorder. I'm not going to go into the specifics here, because I know they both watch my videos. So I'm not gonna do that. But so I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Then I learned that autism is like a spectrum. So 10 different autistic people can act completely different. Spectrum. Second thing. Then as I went to the source and got a larger sample size other than just one autism, because this is the thing, man, looking back at it, a lot of people, because this is the thing, you don't know. Like, when you don't know, you don't know. I think about this shit every fucking day, man. I'm lucky I escaped, bro. The environment I grew up in, like, I'm lucky I escaped. Because it's a proliferation. Remember, you don't attract what you are. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. So, one person who has something wrong with them is going to attract other people who have something wrong with them. They're going to reproduce, create more babies, right? For the most part, children want to be just like their parents. I can't say parents anymore because it's mostly one parent now in most households. One guy got angry at me because he said, "Why do you keep saying single mothers and single fathers? This is how I know he doesn't leave the house." Because, and this is the narcissistic shit that I've been talking about, man. A lot of you fucking nerds on the internet, y'all don't have the ability to understand other people are human beings with individual experiences. Y'all can't relate to other people's experiences because you think the world is only your experience. I had to explain to this fucking guy that, listen, you have both parents in your life, congrats. But you're not the norm, at least not in America anymore. No ability to relate to other people's experiences, yet a psychologist will say this guy has autism when he clearly has something more severe. But getting back to the point, I think about this every day, man. I'm really lucky that I got out because, you know, again, stereotypes exist for a reason, man. So one person that has something wrong with them is going to attract other people that have something wrong with them, right? Including, and they're going to reproduce with somebody else who has something wrong with them, and now they're going to make babies. Children, for the most part, want to grow up to be just like their parents. So they see how their parents are acting, and they think this is normal. Then around 5 or 6 years old, they start going outside, they start socializing with the other kids in their environment, and you attract what you are, right? So the other kids in that environment are all going to be similar to the parents because they're all trying to act like their parents. So by the time you're 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, this behavior is ingrained in you. And you don't know any better because you're a kid that doesn't know anything, man. This is why. So when I stopped living with my mom, my brother's girlfriend, he fucking commented, like, I could tell it was her by how she was speaking. She commented like, "So why are you blaming your mom for picking your dad to like, just no responsibility, right? It takes two to tango." And like, the product of your environment is real, man. A lot of people, you ever, like, if you go to a neighborhood and you wonder why everybody seems so similar, this is why. If you don't escape, you will become the product of your environment because you attract what you are. If you use your free will to not be like the people you're surrounded by, you're going to eventually get ejected. You're either going to leave or those communities are going to kick you out. Triple Q always comes on my videos and says, Chris was kicked out of Pirate 101 in Toontown for a reason. First of all, that's not true. I left Toontown in what, 2012? Came back briefly in like what, 2019, right? Left again. Power 101, I deleted my fucking account, bro. But, whatever. Why did I leave or get kicked out? Doesn't matter how you want to say it. There's this difference. I got a life outside the game, these people don't. So I left. Simple as that. One dude started a whole fucking smear campaign against me just because he lost the fucking debate about Zach. And to this day, he still denies that's the reason he got angry. But it's like, dude, if you were angry about other stuff, why didn't you just say that? Why did you make it about Zach? I get it. People don't leave the house. They don't handle confrontation well. Because they don't leave the house, they don't have to confront people. So they're not used to it. Again, product of your environment, you're attracted what you are. But yeah, you grow up, and again, it's the same shit with these guys, right? These guys grew up with computers. These guys grew up on the internet. They never had parents that made them go outside. They never had friends that encouraged them to go outside. So this has been their reality for their whole fucking lives. Because the Lou guy I'm talking about, I think he was like, what, 17, 18? He was either in his late teens or early 20s when we had that debate. So you're talking damn near 2 decades of vesting in his life, right? Same thing with the environment I grew up in. We were all outside, but that type of environment, it was ingrained in all of the people because you have no guidance, right? You got 2 parents that got something wrong with them. All the kids around you have something wrong with them. Your brother has something wrong with them. The grandparents got something wrong with them. It's a whole proliferation. And nobody is getting properly diagnosed because in that environment, we dismissed everything as the white person disease. And in other environments, they're being taught, oh, it's just autism, bro. Most people just never get diagnosed at all. And when they do, unfortunately, because when it comes to certified professionals, there's political agendas they got to adhere to if they want to keep their job. You could be a 9-year-old child who has something more severe like narcissism or psychopathy, but because the psychologist wants to keep their job, he's going to play politics. He's not going to say you have a more serious disease because legally he's not allowed to diagnose you with that. Instead, he's going to say you're on the spectrum. Here's some medicine for you, right? And he's never going to tell you what that medicine is actually doing. So most people, they're going to go through, 2 decades of their lives in darkness. It takes very strong energy to observe the madness around them and say, I gotta get out of here. I'm 9 years fucking old, telling my dad, telling my mom, as soon as I can get away from you fuckers, I'm never coming back. And they think I'm joking. My family, they all thought I was joking. I told my uncle that when I was 15. As soon as I can get away from you people, you're never gonna see me again. And they haven't seen me. They haven't seen me since. I know they watch my videos, but in terms of like seeing me in person, I don't know the last time I talked with them, and I have no intentions on ever speaking to these people ever again unless I absolutely have to. But what I did is not the norm, man. Most people don't know, because you're trained from a young age to not follow your inner voice. I always knew something was wrong, man. My mom called a domestic abuse charge against my dad because when I was 5, she fucking brought her. This is some hood shit, right? You people get I said something in an old video. I'm on guard around black because I'm outside. This is like I live life. I see the shit with my own eyes. This is some shit you would only see in the movie, but it was real life. My mom brought her mom and they beat up my dad. Because my dad, was a little white guy. He thought he was going to go to the hood and tame the beast. He thought he was going to tame a hood rat, right? That's what he thought. And my mom brought her mom. and they beat my dad up with their fucking shoes, bro. When I was 5, right? But I didn't know how insane that was until honestly, like a few years ago. Because that's the norm in that environment. Product of your environment, so you grow up thinking this is the norm, right? Let's go to the other side of the spectrum, right? The people that live outside the hood, right? Y'all got different kinds of problems, man. If you're an intelligent kid and you get bored in the classroom, now they diagnose you with something called a defiance disorder or ADHD or whatever, right? They just make up fucking diseases to give people medicine now. And then that medicine, I'm surprised that Trump talked about this on national TV, man. Trump was talking about how these medicines are linked to stuff like autism. But I said this fucking 15 years ago, though. That's the thing. I always knew this, right? I'm fucking 5 years old. I would have a cold. My grandmother would give me like cough medication and sick medication. Even as a fucking kid, I didn't know what the fuck the inner voice was. All I knew was this shit tastes foul. So I would act like I would eat it. I would hide it under my tongue, right? I would act like I would eat it, and then when my grandmother left, I would go behind the bed and I would spit it out, right? Eventually, she saw me, like she found the evidence of that. So eventually, right, I would eat it, right, and then I would say I gotta go to the bathroom, and then I would spit it in the toilet and flush it down, man. I knew as a fucking 5 or 6 year old kid, right, I didn't know what the medicine was doing, but I knew this shit tastes bad. It's gotta be bad for me, right? And then as I got older, I did more research into it. This is what I'm saying, right? At the end of the day, none of this shit matters. I mean, it matters, but let me get to the fucking point. Shout out to the homie Dan. It's 2025, man. They're not acting like this is normal. This is normal. Most people walking around right now have something clearly wrong with them. Normal doesn't exist anymore. Normal brains don't exist anymore. Autism, shout out to the homegirl Kirby, because Kirby said it best. Autism is just another word for brain damage, and the severity of the brain damage is what they mean by spectrum. Because a lot of people walking around just simply don't get diagnosed at all, and the ones that do get diagnosed with autism, if you observe them long enough, you see that they got more severe shit wrong with them that they never got diagnosed with, because you can't legally diagnose people with certain shit when they're minors. And when they become adults, they never go back to the psychiatrist, right? And again, because certified professionals gotta play politics to keep their job, you may never really know what's wrong with you unless you figure it out yourself. Kirby, as an example, she had to figure out that she has borderline because the fucking psychologist says she has autism. Just a perfect example. Shout out to Kirby. If you don't want me putting your business out there, let me know and I'll edit this part out of the video. But fuck all that, right? You guys know I'm not one to complain. So what's the solution? I put T in an empty semi-V. What's the solution? This is the solution. No, I'm not saying to get jacked, even though you should. The brain is a muscle. What happens when you stop training your muscles? You lose them. What happens when you stop using your brain? You lose it. Not literally. For those of y'all on the spectrum, that's called a metaphor. Psychopaths were hooked up to a brain scan, okay? And obviously, certain regions of their brain were dead, were not functioning. When the psychopaths were asked to use their free will to feel empathy for something that they cared about, certain regions of their brain became activated. Free will always is the strongest force, okay? People think I'm insane when I say that. The data shows it, and if you go to the source and observe these people yourselves, should you find a unicorn, you'll observe this as well. Shout out to the homeboy Steve. He had the worst autism I ever saw in my life when I first met him. That's not the case anymore. What did Steve do? Nobody ever told Steve that autism was. This is why these people usually don't get any better. Because it's socially taboo to say out loud that autism is a negative thing. It's socially taboo to speak negatively about the more severe diseases, the more severe mental viruses going on. It's socially taboo to speak about these in a negative light. You people call it ableism. I didn't even know what the fuck ableism was until a couple of years ago. Because this whole idea that you treat people who have parts of their brain missing like they're normal just seemed asinine to me. I didn't even fucking know that pretending these people were normal was like if you don't do that, that's socially taboo. I didn't even know what the fuck ableism was. But because morality just needs to die, man, because this shit is insane, bro. Because everybody wants to seem like they're a good person, we now have a society where nobody's telling people the truth. You people don't understand the harm y'all are doing when y'all lie to people that got mental impairments, that have something wrong with their brain. When y'all lie to them and say that they're normal when they're not. They can become normal. The more you use those dead regions of your brain, the more those dead regions of your brain become active. Sort of like the more you train a muscle, the more that muscle becomes active. And this ain't just for show, guys. I was keeping it for college runners a few days ago, so my muscle is functioning. I'm actually going to time my mile probably next week or so when I got more free time. But the brain is the same way, man. The more you use it, the more it grows, the more it adapts, the more it evolves. Okay? Autistic people can mitigate their disease but you first have to admit that there's something wrong. Okay? I didn't know the severity of my environment, man. I didn't know the severity of the madness that I was surrounded by, bro. You know what I'm saying? My fucking dad went to the hood and thought he was gonna tame a fucking hood chick. And the result of that, man, my mom's side of the family fit in the stereotype, nothing but single mothers. Mom would have been a single mother if she didn't have a miscarriage, although she didn't. That's what she said happened. Whatever, right? All of her sisters are single mothers. Her mom was a single mother, right? All of her cousins, like that whole side of the family, nothing but single mothers. Now, on my dad's side of the family, the white side of the family, most of them are married, and the one person who is a single mother reproduced with who? Put two and two together. Stereotypes is this full of. But you don't have to fit into the stereotype. You can acknowledge that something is wrong, and you can get the fuck out of it. For you people that got a mental impairment, you can acknowledge that there's something wrong with you. Fully acknowledge that. Don't fucking say this bullshit. Autism makes me special. Being a psychopath makes me special. Fuck all that shit. No. Well, yeah, it does make you special because one definition for the word special, it means you're different from the norm. So yeah, you're different from the norm. You're special, but don't use that as a positive connotation. Okay? The solution is the parts of your brain that are inactive, you gotta use it. You gotta make it more active. Okay? If you're walking around, I blocked the fucking Mackenzie dude because I had enough, man. The dude was trying to make fun of me when he couldn't even type English correctly. I had enough, bro. And he's admitted that, like, I don't know, man. He thinks talking, but this is the thing with autistic people, right? They think that being stupid is acceptable because nobody tells them that it's a problem. You have to acknowledge it's a problem before you can fix the problem. Again, shout out to Steve. He's mitigated the disease to a very large effect because he was consciously made aware that the disease is not a positive, and then he used his free will to use those parts of the brain more to the point where he can mitigate it. And that's the only way. Medicine is not going to cure these diseases. Sorry to tell you people, right? When it comes to a mental impairment, you gotta cure the mental impairment. You have to be consciously aware of what is wrong with you, then use your free will every day to reverse that shit. That's the only fucking way. I know, it's hard. But hey man, if a retarded little college kid can figure out how to open a trunk, so can you. It's bad, guys. It's bad. It's fucking bad. I talked about in an older video how scientists and doctors predicted that anywhere from 30 to 40% of people in the future will be on the spectrum. But honestly, man, they're correct, but it's more severe shit than autism, bro. Autism is just a couple of diseases, man. A lot of people walking around right now have something like seriously wrong with it, bro. I knew how to open a fucking trunk when I was 9. How hard is it to push a fucking button? And there's a lot of shit that I see every day that I don't tell you guys about, man. But being completely honest, you know, I've tried to make this video several times in the past over years, and I've just been unmotivated to make this video. But every fucking day, man, watching so many people not even knowing how to push a fucking button, not even knowing how to buckle their seatbelts, like, it was time, man. I had to make this video. I had to make this video, bro. I had to make this video, man. So much shit, bro. So much shit. But yeah, I know this video is gonna offend a lot of people. I don't care. It had to be me. In Part 101, there was a guy named Abelist who has several things wrong with him, right? You can even see it in his eyes, right? But before he went to the military, he said something genius, that when the first humans were migrating around the world, why were they doing it? The most intelligent humans realized they were surrounded by idiots and left. This is why, and I'm trying my hardest not to make this sound racist, this is why you notice the locations that have the oldest, like, the locations that are the closest to our origins, they have the lowest IQ. Because all the intelligent people, eventually they saw what was going on and then they just left. And they kept doing this for thousands of years until there was no other place on the planet to run to, right? I mean, you can still escape, but in terms of escaping to another continent and then making your own type of human over 20 generations, that's not going to happen anymore. Because we occupy the whole planet. But yeah, Adam said it best before he lost his fucking mind in 2019, that the most intelligent people just leave. Just leave. That's what you guys gotta do, man. At some point, you gotta realize you're surrounded by insanity and you gotta just leave. And people that have been diagnosed with something, eventually you gotta look at the other people that have what you have, and you gotta be like, no, this is not my fate. And you gotta change it, man. And it is rare. Being 100% honest, I've met thousands of people on the spectrum in my life, and these are people that you can just tell there's something wrong with them, right? Steve is the only person I've seen to get as far as he's gotten with what he was born with. Because for the most part, people that got a mental impairment, they'll tell you this themselves, right? They see having a disability as an advantage because they believe that it gives them certain benefits that puts them above other people. They don't think there's anything wrong with having something wrong with them. This is a major reason why you never see these people change, okay? The triple Q fucker who I always quote, he's the perfect example. As a matter of fact, that's another video for another day. Because that's another video for another day. I want to just focus on this. It's here though. It is the normal. It's here to stay. And in the future, it's going to get worse. As I observe everybody, man, I observe the older generation, my generation, the younger generation. Those of y'all that were hoping that there was going to be some type of intellectual revolution among the younger generation, because that's what some of y'all said, right? That the madness is going to get so out of whack that the younger generations have to just see this is insane and do something about it. They're more deranged, bro. They're more deranged. They're more deranged, man. I have the advantage of looking way younger than I actually am. So because of that, younger people tell me all kinds of stuff, right? They don't believe I'm 31. Even when I tell them, they just don't believe me, right? Well, some of them just don't care, but a lot of them don't believe me. One chick asked me like 4 fucking times, so how old are you really? I'm like, at the time I was 29. I'm like, 29, 29, 29, 29. I got to the point where I thought about showing her my driver's, but I'm like, I'm not doing that, man. If she doesn't believe me, it's her problem. But, and you know, the best way to collect data is to go to the source. I know some of y'all are going to give me shit about using people for data. Fuck that shit, man. This is the best way to study these diseases. By going to the source, fuck what you read in the book. Just go outside and observe these people in real time. Just observe them. And if they are made aware that what they have is a negative, what they've been officially diagnosed with, because again, these people aren't being told what's really wrong with them, right? But if they're made aware, a lot of them will flip it and turn it into a positive, and as a result of that, they'll just never see the reason to fix what's wrong. And yeah, Those of y'all that were hoping that the younger generation was going to see the madness and change, from what I've seen, man, they're more deranged. They're more deranged than Gen Z. Strap up and get ready for the future, man. Because it's yeah, man. We can still escape, but Triple Q says I'm running a cult. I'm not running a cult. I've simply attracted people who are just done with the madness. Catch you guys in the next video.